So this week, some crazy shit happened in the world of open source, and Mike's going to tell us about it in today's Not So Critical update.
Certainly there are some technical details to this story, but I love the social side of it. The bottom line is that the owner of these projects, Colors and Faker JavaScript repositories that are commonly used in open source software, intentionally himself corrupted the files and created an infinite loop that now is impacting any project that uses these files that are publicly available open source project files. We'll talk about why he did it. But first, any technical insight or any context you want to add to this, Peter or John?
Yeah, I can tell you what happened. Hey, bye guys.
I just made us go away. There we go. Try again.
We're back. Yeah. I guess Mike's not so interested in the technical details after all.
We are done.
We're done. Well, that was a short segment. Thank you for tuning in. No, it's quite an interesting story. It's another kind of supply chain attack, but from the inside this time. There's a couple of popular packages which are used in JavaScript applications called Colors and Faker, which is something rather used by like a lot of people, tens of thousands at least. And the author just got fed up with America and recoded them to output gibberish if you include them. So this is existing packages which depend on this software, and when you install it for the first time, it goes off and downloads all the dependencies, all the things it relies on. And this popular dependency was intentionally corrupted, and I think it was replaced with like a binary image of the American flag and a message saying,
outputs liberty, 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 and then a bunch of gibberish characters.
Yeah, which isn't probably not what you. I think these applications are like trying to help add support for outputting colors in text applications, which is,
colorizing the console text, I believe, in the case of Colors, and then for Faker generating data samples that you could use for testing.
So I guess this is an like, you don't really think about this, but this is an unintended side effect of using open source.
Yeah,
this was the owner of the This was the owner of the libraries, right?
Yes.
That did this?
Yeah.
Yep. So if let's say I own anything, I can do whatever I want to it, right? As long as I don't cause harm to people or myself or financial losses, I imagine. But even if I do, this is open source. So playground-wise, this is fair. This person is allowed to do this.
And somebody pointed out in Hacker News, you're embedding somebody else's source code in your application. If they change it after the fact and you update it, you have no idea what you've just included in your project.
This is the delicious thing about this whole story. And I'm so glad you guys came out with firm opinions to begin with, because it makes it so much more controversial. Because there's another side of it, which is that technically you're correct. This is free software. You don't owe the author anything. He can do this, but he is being a massive dick, right?
100%.
He is being a massive dick.
Doubt.
There is a kind of assumption that when you use something like that, you won't be a dick. You make you offer it to people.
So let's talk about who's being a dick here, Peter.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's not you. I'm just.
That's a new one.
See, surprise.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
So what the developer said was or I don't know if he said, I didn't see a quote, but this is what's asserted, is that the change appears to be retaliation against megacorporations and commercial consumers of open source projects who extensively rely on cost-free and community-powered software, but do not give back to the community. So we just talked last week about I don't know, maybe it's not even out yet. Maybe it'll be out this week. TikTok kind of co-opting OBS's code. We've talked about Truth Social co-opting the Mastodon code. So I think this is a direct response to that kind of abuse of open source software, which is kind of what you were just getting at.
Well,
I think then you should just close source your software.
Okay. See, it's easy to say that kind of stuff, but it's not that simple. If all software was closed source, then like most of the stuff we use on the internet wouldn't exist right now.
I don't think you're understanding my point.
People, what do you mean? Oh, no,
if you have such a big problem as this developer, you have such a hard you have such a hard on for this issue, just close it down. Then you don't. But instead, you're affecting thousands of people's probably businesses.
Yeah.
That's a dick move. You're a dick for that.
Yeah. That's a dick.
I kind of like it.
But it's kind of like
it's malicious. It's hurting people who weren't the intended targets. But if you want to make a statement, sometimes you got to make a statement.
I think it's actually more to do with the Logforge thing. I think because a lot of the discussion, for anybody who was hiding under a rock for the last, couple of months,
2 months, yeah.
2 months, yeah. The Logforge was an open source project, and it was used by millions of other projects, or hundreds of thousands of other projects, but it was free, and it had a massive security vulnerability in it, and that was only discovered later. But it's the same kind of thing, because you're relying on something that somebody else is providing for free.
Yeah, for sure.
And that person isn't getting paid. If they got paid by all these different companies that were using their stuff, then this guy would be a multimillionaire. But he didn't, and it's not fair to rely on them without supporting them. And I think that was maybe what prompted this guy to kind of, pick up his toys and walk off in a huff. Which
it's like, to me, this sounds like a temper. It's a temper tantrum on the worst scale, because you willingly and knowingly provided people open source software in good faith. They trusted you, okay, and then you were like, "Wait, this isn't all it is. It's not all it's made up to be. I'm super busy with this project all the time, and people are." Commenting on GitHub saying this is a bug and this is a bug and I need this fixed and can you make this better? And I'm not getting paid for this. Like, I'm going to be angry about it. You know what? Fuck America. Here is a change to the code.
I feel like he was making a defense of the broader open source community from this little corner of the world that he controls that could have a big impact. And I'm on board. I'm here for it.
Well, you're right. It was. Can I tell you something though? Right. So as you know, guys, I'm that Peter Lowe.
So
finally. Oh yeah.
Yes, sorry. Peter, we know. Oh my gosh.
You should. Oh god, I really bore these guys behind the scenes. Just going on and on about it.
Name dropping nonstop.
Yeah. So it's all right. I said I'd sign their tits later on, but hey, when we meet in person, I'll bring my Sharpie. It has crossed my mind occasionally when I get particularly ornery people who insist that it's my fault that their whatever isn't working because they see my name on the screen when they're trying to post to their knitting club newsletter or click on a link from it or whatever. And I get some real shitty emails from people who are just like, get this stuff off my computer. I didn't ask for this to be on there. I didn't, and I thought I could if I put in google.com as or maybe a more subtle domain into my list, it would be
millions.
Momentarily frustrating. I think there's around 50 million end users for my list. I would instantly lose all trust. And I'm not going to be clear. I will not do this. I have just to be very clear.
It's on the same scale. And I thought to myself before you said this, I was like, this is something that Peter could do. You could go and do this. And what would you do? What would you do? You'd piss off X amount of people. Okay. Yeah. And then you would lose trust from everyone. No one would use your source, your open source again, ever. No one was going to use your software. Who knows what you did? And you've just tarnished yourself. You've blacklisted yourself. How is this person going to get hired? Imagine, kind of fun. Right? You're interviewing at a company and they're like, "Oh, you're that guy."
Me and that guy and the Logforge guy could start companies together.
Yeah, exactly.
Be like the rebel devs or something.
I did think it was interesting.
But really.
I did think it was interesting in your example that someone installed ad blocking software and didn't fully understand what they were getting, so they were upset with the outcome.
No, wait.
That feels like an education issue.
That's not. That's not.
Do they consent to having that functionality broken? I don't.
No, do you know what? I think Mike's right. I think that filterless authors are underappreciated because people don't realize how much work goes in behind the scenes, guys. I have something like 80 subscribers on Patreon and 50 million people using the list. So
Jeez. Are you just plugging your Patreon on our show?
No, you know what?
Okay.
He should. Wait. Let's plug. He should.
No, I don't want to.
No, we will.
I didn't do it for the money.
Mike, what I wanted to say is it's not fair to blame those users that are angrily messaging Peter because I am one of the people that put it on their computers without their consent, so to speak. When I gave my parents laptops, I put uBlock on there. uBlock by default will use Peter's list. If my dad is trying to click on a link to listen to some music and Peter blocks it, Peter's there manually blocking. Peter's list blocks it. It's not my dad's fault, nor is it Peter's fault. It's actually my fault for not adequately explaining what this software does.
I'm the one who put the tracking on the links in the first place, so ultimately it's my fault.
Who's really at fault?
We're all to blame. Can I tell you one more little story? I did get an email. That example I used about someone trying to click on the knitting newsletter is real. I had a lady who was exactly that situation. I think she was over 80, and she sent me an email in caps saying, "How do I get this off my computer? Who are you, and why are you showing up on my laptop? All I'm trying to do is click on a link from my knitting newsletter, and it's so frustrating." And it's like at the beginning of lockdown, I think, and she was really, I could sense the genuine annoyance. All she wanted to do was just kind of look at some knitting links. And
Peter sent her a treatise on the problems with online privacy and why she should be more concerned.
I'm actually pretty reasonable usually. And
did you message her back and help her?
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah. And I got it. I said, listen, I don't know exactly. The other thing is, I know that most people are usually using uBlock Origin, but I'm not 100% sure because some people do have like Pi-hole or AdBlock or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And her son had come in, or her grandson had come in and set it up for her, trying to be nice, like you were, John. And it was uBlock Origin. And I said, look, it's probably this thing that is blocking it. And if you tell me a bit more about what you're seeing, and then she wrote back and went, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, this is what I see on my screen." And we had a very nice chat. She was so nice. She was lovely. And she got her knitting links. It was very pleasant. Grace, if you're out there, thank you.
I would love to end on that story, but I do have one important thing I have to point out, is that I found this article first in Vice, but Vice was not the original author, or they cited original source, and this story actually came from Bleeping Computer.
Oh yeah,
who is well known for bringing us the hard-hitting, deep investigative stories, and we thank them for that.
Yeah, a lot of quality from Bleeping Computer, or or BC as we refer to them.
Bleeps. Yeah, the bleeps.
Yeah, a lot of good bleeps from them, from BC. Good guys over there.
Do not read into John's sarcastic tone of voice.
That's really, I can't tell the difference with John.